From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, I'm Carla Gonzalez, and this is From the South. In Colombia, a letter signed by several legislators and sent to the Colombian Attorney General is requesting that he assume jurisdiction over the alleged acts of corruption to which former Senator Aida Merlano may be able to supply knowledge and evidence. The group of lawmakers are asking that a commission be designated by Prosecutor Francisco Barbosa to travel to Venezuela to hear Merlano's statements regarding how vote-buying networks operate throughout Colombia's Caribbean coast. Merlano, who is being held in Venezuela, had published a statement on Instagram revealing her knowledge of the perpetrators of Colombian electoral corruption in December. In a recent address, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro invited the Colombian prosecutor's office, lawmakers and media to meet with Merlano in Venezuela. However, the Colombian government has turned to Juan Guaidó to request the former senator's extradition, despite the fact that Guaidó is without the authority to fulfill such a request. Here was President Maduro's invitation for Colombian authorities to collaborate last week.
I have asked the Attorney General and the Supreme Court of Justice to invite Colombian institutions that want to come to take a statement from Senator Aida Merlano here in Venezuela. They can come, they will be welcome, and they will also receive all guarantees for this Colombian citizen to make her statement to the prosecution in Venezuela before the Attorney General, before the courts. And what's more, this is a public invitation to senators and other members of Congress from Colombia that want to come, and to the Colombian press that would like to interview Senator Aida Merlano. I say the doors are open for them to come to Venezuela and for her to give her testimony and state everything she knows about what happened.
The Association of Indigenous Cabildos of North Cauca in Colombia has reported the murder of an indigenous guard as violence increases in the country. Javier Girón, a guard of about 20 years, was shot 3 times as he entered an establishment in Santander de Quilichao. According to residents, the Association of Indigenous Cabildos calls for national and international solidarity as the number of killings occurring in northern Cauca has seen an upsurge in the last year. The representative of the UN High Commission on Human Rights in Colombia says it is following up on this latest homicide. In Bolivia, a judge has ordered 6 months of preventive detention for Evo Morales' attorney, Patricia Hermosa. A pregnant Hermosa is being accused of sedition and terrorism for carrying the former president's documents in order to register him as candidate for the Legislative Assembly. Morales has since said he will flag the de facto authorities' theft of his personal documents internationally. He tweeted that his complaint will cite the disappearance of the powers of the attorney and military service paperwork that were stolen when Hermosa was illegally detained. Morales added that he will also file a report with the Bolivian prosecutor's office for aggravated robbery. Movement Towards Socialism lawmaker Sonia Brito spoke to the media about this latest judicial persecution.
The eyes of the world are on Bolivia, and the eyes of the world are on Bolivian justice, and they are really seeing the utter disgrace that is the type of justice that we have.
Bolivian former Minister César Navarro and Deputy Minister Pedro Damián Dorado arrived in Mexico on Sunday, where they will seek protection from the government. The 2 ex-officials of the Morales administration boarded an alternative flight after they were detained at the airport in El Alto on Saturday morning. Their arrest was a breach of the International Asylum Treaty, especially since they were granted safe conduct by Bolivia's de facto authority. Mexico's foreign ministry said its diplomatic efforts, along with international support, ensured the men's safe release. 250 Venezuelans are returning to their country from Chile on the latest flight under the Return to the Homeland repatriation plan. Those traveling were seen boarding a bus to the airport with their belongings. Many Venezuelans who migrated to other countries are opting to return following negative experiences such as work exploitation, xenophobia, and discrimination. This is the 7th flight to depart Chile under the plan. It's a free and voluntary initiative of President Nicolás Maduro, which has seen thousands of citizens repatriated, primarily from other South American countries.
Well, we're very happy, very grateful for this flight, because we really didn't have enough money to pay our own way for a flight. We're very grateful because we are in delicate health and we want to return to our country, our home. Our children await us there. We're very grateful once again to the Bolivarian government.
On Saturday, soldiers of the historic civic-military rebellion of February 4th, 1992, led by Commander Hugo Chavez, visited the Paez barracks in Maracay in Aragua State. The event, led by General of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, Jesus Suárez Chorio, was joined by United Socialist Party leader Diosdado Cabello. The act, which was held on the 1st of the month, celebrated the revolutionaries who rose up against the neoliberal policies of the government of Carlos Andrés Pérez 28 years ago. A day now commemorated as Dignity Day in Venezuela. The Bolivarian people and government will be celebrating a number of other important dates throughout the month of February. Non-governmental organizations in the border towns of Guatemala are voicing support for the thousands of Central American migrants fleeing violence and unemployment in their countries.
Around the border area of El Naranjo and the department of Petén, the flow of Central American migrants trying to reach the United States under precarious conditions continues to grow.
Instead of reducing the number of migrants, they continue increasing. These people are being forced to leave because there are no job opportunities in their country of origin.
The majority of them are Honduran, who on their journey have asked for help in these migrant houses situated along the way.
We
arrived here first for shelter, and then we were given food. Here we can also use the shower, clean ourselves up, wash our dirty clothing which we have on us.
Recently, the migrant houses have turned into places where the thousands of Central American migrants can rest. During their journey, a number of them have suffered from violence and are considered criminals and terrorists, according to a leader.
Migrants are mistreated. They take their bags and they arrive here without their backpacks, without shoes. How is someone going to call these people terrorists if they have nothing? They are traveling without anything, no knives, without a backpack, without anything.
As the migrant flow increases in these border areas, non-governmental organizations are remarking on the government's lack of commitment to following through with the Safe Third Country Agreement, as the government of former President Jimmy Morales had committed to offering them asylum.
Those agreements that the president made are nowhere to be seen. There is no attention to migrants. There is even more repression by Guatemalan authorities.
The mistreatment of migrants has been so bad that recently priest Mauro Verzelletti received death threats for having assisted members of the migrant caravan from a migrant house.
We have more stories coming up. Don't go away.
A review of the world news that investigates, incites analysis, and induces criticism, because every event has a context.
Pusimos el punto en la I.
Dotting the I. Saturdays, only on Telesur.
Welcome back. Palestinians have continued protesting against U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called Middle East peace plan. On Saturday night, thousands took to the streets of the besieged Gaza Strip to express their anger at Trump and his Israeli counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu. The protesters burned mock coffins bearing portraits of both leaders. The widely rejected deal allows Israel to cement its control over Jerusalem and its holy sites, maintain military control of Palestine, and formalize the annexation of the West Bank.
This deal was a dead deal before it was even born because the Palestinian consensus rejected it completely. This decision is a decision made by a state and not an international one. Of course, the decision is in the hands of the Palestinian people because they are the owner of the land and will expel the occupation from the entire Palestinian national soil.
In the meantime, heavily armed Israeli security forces attacked university students who attempted to stage a protest against the deal in the occupied West Bank city of Hebron. The security forces fired tear gas, rubber-coated steel bullets, and live ammunition to disperse the gathering. A 27-year-old journalist was rushed to a hospital after being shot in the head. Preliminary reports say he suffered a fractured skull and is in stable condition. And hundreds of people rallied outside the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon against Trump's plan. Waving Palestinian flags, protesters gathered on a road leading to the embassy in the northeast of Beirut, amid tight security from the military and riot police. Almost 200,000 displaced Palestinians live in refugee camps across Lebanon. If implemented, the deal would end any hope of them returning to their territories.
This fetish promise will disappear under the feet of the children of Palestine. The Palestinian resistance and their uprising that will not give up this land and Jerusalem, which is the eternal capital of the independent state of Palestine. Whether Trump wanted it or not, Palestine is for the Palestinian people.
Iran has started celebrating the 10-day dawn ceremonies marking the 41st anniversary of the 1979 revolution that toppled the monarchy and founded the Islamic Republic. Events began at 9:33 a.m. local time, which was the exact moment the late founder of the Islamic Republic, Imam Khomeini, landed in the capital. A special ceremony was held at the mausoleum named after him, with a host of senior state and military officials, including President Hassan Rouhani. Imam Khomeini was exiled for 15 years and returned due to popular support that ultimately led to the overthrow of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. In his address, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani said that citizens must have the right to choose between different political movements. His comment was in response to the Guardian Council, which oversees the elections, barring some 9,500 potential candidates from standing in the February 21st polls, including 92 sitting MPs from all political stripes.
Whoever prevents people from choosing and does not allow them to choose between different political tendencies, and whoever discourages people from going to the polls, is certainly far from the approach of the Imam. If we follow the path of Imam Khomeini, today we'll get through the current situation, the toughest in our political and economic history.
Ecuador's President Lenín Moreno has suggested that women tend to complain about sexual harassment when it comes from ugly people. While giving a speech to investors in the city of Guayaquil, President Moreno said men were under threat of being denounced for harassment. His comments prompted immediate outrage from women's rights activists and others, such as ruling party Congresswoman Soledad Buendia, who tweeted that the president justifies and reproduces violence against women. Moreno later tried to apologize. In 2019, at least 60 cases of femicide were recorded in Ecuador, while over 65% of women have experienced some form of harassment.
We, men, at permanently risk of the danger of being accused of harassment. And I see that women, many times, denounce harassment. That's true, and it's good that they do so. But at times, with harassment, they torment ugly people. That is to say, that the harassment is when it comes from an ugly person. But if the person looks good according to the standards, they tend not to think necessarily that it is harassment. And at my age, it would not be harassment, but sexual harassment.
Representatives from different political parties have begun an impeachment process against Ecuador's Minister of Government, Maria Paula Romo, over her alleged breach of duties during last October's protests.
Assembly members Roberto Gómez from CREO, Amapola Naranjado from Revolución Ciudadana, and the independent María de Lourdes Cuesta Orellana have called for an impeachment process against the Minister of Government, Maria Paula Romo. They want her to be held accountable for her failure to properly manage the crisis that occurred as a result of police brutality in last year's popular protests. As such, the trio is requesting that the President of the Assembly add their petition to the agenda of the upcoming plenary session and approve it for further debate.
Human rights are being violated, and in October it was the worst. The minister acknowledged that expired gas bombs were permitted. Police threw those bombs in places that were designated safe zones. We can't allow this. This type of behavior has not even been seen in the worst dictatorships.
This is the third attempt at having the Minister of Government impeached. Previous efforts were made by the same legislators, but for separate reasons, such as the prison crisis, insecurity, and femicides.
We are acting in accordance with the law. The first judgment was not compelling, and some of the members were not even present at the hearing.
Meanwhile, the United Front of Workers Union is preparing to take action against the neoliberal government.
I would believe in impeachments if we had a functioning assembly. The assembly ought to be duty-bound to Ecuador. Have you ever seen a law that benefits the citizens of this country? No, they haven't done anything.
This condemnation of the Minister of Government comes on the heels of concerns raised by the Ombudsman Office that Ecuadorian human rights are in danger. The authority said this is because of the government's failure to take responsibility for the violations that occurred during the national strike.
We're taking one last break. Stay with us.
Innovation, science, the technological breakthrough, and its influence in society.
Viajeros del saber, el futuro está aquí.
Ataman. Monday, only on Telesur.
Welcome back. At least 20 people have been killed and over a dozen injured in a stampede during a church service at a stadium in northern Tanzania. According to security officials, hundreds of people crushed others as they rushed to get blessed with anointed oil during a church service by a self-proclaimed prophet in the town of Moshi. Boniface Mwamposa is now on the run. Chinese health authorities say the number of people killed by the new coronavirus has risen to 304. The National Health Commission also noted that 14,380 people have been infected. Meanwhile, the first recorded death outside of China has been reported in the Philippines. The victim has been identified as 44-year-old Chinese national who arrived in the country on January 21st from the city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak.
The National Health Commission has received the reports from all regions around China of 14,308 confirmed cases, including 2,110 severe cases, 304 death cases, and 328 patients who have been discharged from hospitals. There are altogether 19,544 suspected cases, and we have traced 163,844 close contacts.
And Chinese authorities have completed the construction of an emergency 1,000-bed hospital in Hubei province, set up specifically to treat coronavirus patients. Work began on the Huoshenshan Hospital on January 23rd and was completed on Sunday morning. The hospital has been handed over to the Ministry of Health and will start admitting patients on Monday. A second emergency hospital with a bed capacity of 1,600 is expected to be completed on Wednesday. Meanwhile, China's National Health Commission says it has made progress in the race to find a cure for the new coronavirus. The virus currently has no cure or vaccine and is being treated with a combination of antivirals and other measures. At the moment, the trials are centered on experimental antiviral drug remdesivir, developed by pharmaceutical firm Gilead Sciences. The Commission on Monday said the trials were being carried out at multiple hospitals in the central city of Wuhan.
For the current situation of the epidemic outbreak, the treatment work has attracted wide attention, and we also have made a lot of new research. So far, one treatment is lopinavir and ritonavir, and traditional Chinese medicine. Some clinical trials are conducted to collect data. Recently, we found another drug called remdesivir, and several medical institutions are conducting clinical trials on the drug to study its safety and efficacy.
In other news, foreign governments have urged Guyana to decriminalize homosexuality and protect the LGBT community. The recommendations were given during the Universal Periodic Review process at the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland on Friday. Australia, Argentina and the Netherlands were among the nations to advise the repeal of all laws criminalizing sexual activity between all genders, and the adoption of measures to ensure the LGBT community enjoys all their human rights. Guyana is the only country in South America to criminalize gay sex, with the punishment for buggery being life in prison. With the support of the Uruguayan Carnival Union, the project More Carnival tries to create an alternative event so that people can enjoy the popular festival for free. More details in this report.
To return to the carnival of before, back when there was no competition and where every neighborhood enjoyed the popular art and excellence of Uruguay, following that dream, several Uruguayan carnival groups supported by the Uruguayan Carnival Union created the proposal Más Carnaval.
Más Carnaval es un proyecto que surge.
Más Carnaval is a project that arises from a group of comrades, all of us who have been going to the Uruguayan traditional carnival for years. It's based on concerts to generate more participatory spaces, more open, with fewer regulations. We started to crank out something that today is becoming reality.
The idea was to organize alternative carnival shows which could be replicated in all neighborhoods where there was no official competition between groups, no prizes, no sponsors, and no commercial logic whatsoever.
It's an idea
to go back to the old carnival, but to make it a 21st century version, not to go back to the past, but to make something in the future. That's better. If there are 200 stages before, well, now there are 500 stages. Every neighborhood could have a stage, every group, every collective.
This year, the groups organized with a Capurro Cultural Collective and agreed on a day of popular art where they could also learn about solidarity in cooperative economic initiatives.
When the possibility of joining the networks of Mass Carnival arose, we realized that what was coming was very big, because planting a milestone like this in something as big for Uruguay as the Carnival is something that we could not be left out of, because it has much to do with what we believe, which is to build more opportunities.
For many, the best thing about the project is that it allows many Uruguayans who could not pay for tickets or move to other neighborhoods to enjoy a high-quality show near their home.
Because the truth is that the Carnival is to feel it. I always used to say it's not the same when they take you to the stage as watching it on TV. Sometimes because of an economic issue or a remote issue, because there aren't stages in all neighborhoods. That doesn't always reach the people, so I think it's very good.
The Mass Carnival project brings together 28 carnival groups that do not participate in the official competition. They are grouped together by the Union of Carnival Workers of Uruguay, which seeks to dignify the work of carnival workers and give back to the people a show that is becoming more and more distant from the people.
And with that, we end our news brief. But you can find all of our stories by checking our website, telesurenglish.net. And be sure to also join us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Carla Gonzalez. Thank you for watching.